and welcome to this session. I hope you are enjoying the session and practicing regularly. Remember, the key to speaking good English is to practice. If you are not practicing hard, if you are not doing shadowing and coterie talk and spontaneous on a regular basis, then I'm afraid, my friend, you will not see the kind of improvement that you want to see in yourself. Today, we will talk about the English mindset. There will be a presentation. Thereafter, two of our learned participants would be demonstrating spontaneous speech. Before we start the proceedings, let's say hello to some of our participants. Here we go. Okay, hello, Mohit. Mohit, can you hear me? Mohit Sharma. Mohit, can you unmute your mic and say hello to me? All right. All right. Pranjal.
Hello.
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 Yes. Okay.
Take care.
Right. So the thing is, Mohit writes that he has severe network issue. That is why he's unable to talk to us. I suggest you take a better internet connection, Mohit, because interaction is important, right? Face-to-face interaction is also important. And unless you connect with us that way, you will not be able to practice in the public. Okay, so I strongly suggest that you take a better internet connection. Right, Pranjal, hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Absolutely fine. How are you, Pranjal?
I'm perfect, sir.
How is the
Perfectly fine.
great? How is the practice going?
Uh, let's say slowly.
Slowly. Why slowly? Just build on
I'm
them. Mhm.
Yes, sir. The thing is, sir, I'm doing the coterie talk daily, but I'm not finding time to do spontaneous.
Not
I will
finding.
try to do like a batch of spontaneous talks on weekends. So this is my plan. I know it
No,
doesn't work.
no, Pranjal. It's not going to help you in the least.
Yeah.
Do the spontaneous and the shadowing every day. I know you speak good English, but if you want to speak flamboyant, flowery, and flawless English, let me put it that way, you will have to practice every day, right? You cannot eat all the food in the weekend. You have to eat every day, right? Please make it a point that you practice every day. Pranjal, don't tell me that you don't find time. I know you're a good boy. I have a lot of affection for you. But the point is, if you say that you're not getting 6 minutes to do your spontaneous and about say 12 to 18 minutes for doing your shadowing on two files,
Mm.
sorry, there has to be some serious issue with time management. Probably you're not managing your time properly.
Yes, sir. I agree with you, and I am doing shadowing. It's just the spontaneous
Spontaneous.
thought. Yes, sir. Actually, some of the times it has happened that I want to do it, but I've seen the message. So there's no point if I do spontaneous after reading the message and knowing about the topic.
I always hide the message because I write long messages so that you don't see the message immediately. Whenever I drop such a message, when I say good morning, dear friends, you should know that there is a topic in that. If you see the coterie talk subject, it doesn't make a difference because you should know the topic beforehand. But the spontaneous topic, you mustn't know. That is why open the forum only when you are ready to do the spontaneous. Very important that you do the spontaneous, Pranjal, regardless of how good your English is. If you really want to be a great master, an orator of the highest order, you have to practice every day. I still practice. I'm not suggesting that I'm an orator of the highest order, but I may be a very small kind of an orator, doesn't matter, but I keep doing my practice every day. Every day means every day. I do not miss out on practice, right? We have our own people and we ensure that we never lose practice. If you don't practice spontaneous, this is a lifetime investment. If you can make it a lifetime investment, you will get better and better. But even if you don't make a lifetime commitment and you are just doing it for 6 months, do the practice during those 6 months very seriously, religiously, and you will be very good at English, my friend. So you have to
Okay, sir. I will.
appreciate, do
Yes,
it.
sir. I will do it from next week onwards.
Not next week,
I
dear.
promise you.
You're doing it from today. You're doing it from today or tomorrow maximum. Okay, not next
For
week.
tomorrow.
All right, tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pranjal. Okay, Seema, hello. Hello, Seema.
Hello, sir.
How are
Please
you?
take care of. It's a request. Please take care of yourself first because health comes first before anything. I feel this thing, sir. Because seriously, you are looking so much tired. And how are you taking our class? It's hats off to you.
Thank you, Seema, for your concern. I truly appreciate it, but trust me, I'm fine. I'm just fine. Okay. And good to see that you are doing your exercises regularly and you are doing this course very religiously. And trust me, by the time we finish, you will be in a great position. You will be in a great position. You will virtually be using the language the way you want to use it, right? The language will be at your beck and call, but regular practice is what is needed and you are doing it. Good to see that. I'll say hello to one more participant before I start out with the presentation. Okay. Hello, Lekha. Hello, Lekha.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm very, very good.
Nice to see that beaming smile. Good.
And hope that you will also recover in the weekend. We truly care for you.
Well, Lekha, I know. Thank you so very much for your concern. I've been traveling quite a lot, and yes, I didn't get time to rest, but doesn't matter. I'm used to speaking and I'm teaching with a lot of gusto. You will not see any lack of energy in my delivery. I promise you that. So thank you, Lekha, for your very sweet concern. And how's your practice going?
My practice is going, sir, well. Like I'm doing spontaneous speech regularly and shadowing regularly. But because like we are not free at the same time, many people are not. So quoted talk sometimes it's like we missed many time, but I thought I will continue potty talk with one of my friend. I will talk to him in English. I will find a way. I don't rely on those members because I have to do my practice on my own.
Lekha, it is good that you have a friend with whom you can practice English, but coterie talk is also important. Make it a point that you have good relationship with everybody within the coterie and you find time for them and they find time for you. It is a camaraderie. It is a lifetime commitment to be talking to your coterie members in English, right? So
Yes, sir.
please make it a point that you also make sure that you do coterie talk regularly. Do not miss out on coterie talk as well. Okay, very important that you don't miss out on any of the exercises. The 3 pillars of this training program are to be respected. The 3
Okay,
tools
sir.
that I've given you, you have to practice on a regular basis. Okay, so good to see you, Lekha. Good to see you doing everything with so much of enthusiasm and so much of dedication. Thanks to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for joining, my dear. Okay, moving on. And now we start with the presentation. Today we'll talk about English mindset. English mindset. Here we go. One of you will have to tell me after I make the presentation, fill your screen, if you can see it properly. 1 second. Okay. Someone please unmute yourself and tell me if you can see the presentation clearly.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It is
sir.
visible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Little.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So the English mindset, key to fluency, right? What is the English mindset? Let's find out. As usual, I will be reading out the stuff verbatim. This is a very text-heavy presentation. You have to excuse me for that. It's a very text-heavy presentation, but text-heavy presentations are sometimes useful. Why so? Because they reduce the effort of the speaker. So I'll be reading it for you verbatim and then explain what I have to explain. The non-native speaker's predicament. Predicament means problem. We are talking about the problem of a non-native speaker. So what is the problem? In the last lesson, we discussed how non-native speakers structure their English according to their first language, right? What goes on inside the mind is difficult to comprehend and even more so to express. Yes, it may be beneficial to convey how most non-native speakers approach English communication. While speaking, they think of a sentence in their first language and then try to translate it into English. More often than not, the translated sentence follows the syntax of the first language and is far removed from the way a native speaker or an expert non-native speaker would approach English. And while listening, a non-native may struggle to understand the sentences falling in her ears as she doesn't quite have a feel for the language. Now, what it means is, again, the syntax, that is the structure of English, and the syntax of the first language that you speak are very different. What we non-native speakers usually do is to think of a sentence. It doesn't happen always, but many do it this way, that you think what you have to say, and then you think of that sentence in your first language. If you are good with Hindi and you are more used to speaking in Hindi, then probably you will think of the sentence in Hindi. Then you will translate that into English in your mind, and then you will speak it. First of all, the syntax of Hindi and the syntax of English, the language into which you are translating that Hindi sentence, totally differ from each other. So, when you are translating from the first language to English, you will not get good results. Please make sure that this translation part doesn't really happen. You have to feel the language while listening as well, since the syntax of the language that is falling upon your ears is different from the language that you are used to. You may have difficulties understanding what is being spoken to you. So unless you appreciate that the syntax of English is different from the syntax of Hindi, or for that purpose, whatever your first language is, your native language is, translating mere translations will not help. You have to have an English mindset. Well, some people would say you have to think in English. I'm not sure if that is a good thing to say, because we don't think in a language, we think in abstract images. So possibly thinking in English is not a good thing to say. It's not a correct expression. It is not technically correct. All I'm trying to tell you is, stop approaching English the way you approach your native tongue. Your native tongue is a different language altogether. What works for your native tongue will not work for English. All right. So thinking in English, really? Do we think in English? Well, some people would say the solution to this problem is thinking in English while speaking the language. I am not sure how true that idea is. Not being an expert in brain science, I would not venture into explaining the workings of the brain, but I can at least tell you why the concept of thinking in English, or for that purpose, thinking in any language, appears to be flawed. You don't think in language. You don't think in words and sentences and paragraphs. You think in terms of images. That is why you cannot think in a language. Those who say you have to begin to think in language will know. That's not how it works. You don't even think in your first language when you speak. You must not try to think in a language. Your brain thinks by forming imagery. Now that imagery has to translate into words. And when you try to convert that imagery into sentences in your first language, and then you translate it, well, the sting, the punch is killed. First of all, since the syntax varies, English's syntax varies from the syntax of your first language, what you will translate is not going to be of quality. And then what you deliver is not what you think you should speak. So you think in your native, first of all, you form sentences in your native tongue. Then you come up with a bad translation of that sentence that you have formed in native tongue. And then while speaking, you don't even give us that bad translation of what you have done. You come up with a still inferior version of that bad translation. So it is pretty bad. I'm repeating. You think of a sentence in your first language, then you make a bad translation of it into English. Why would you be making a bad translation? Because English does not follow the syntax of the language in which you're forming sentences in your brain. And whatever you think, whatever translation ends up in your brain, does not find way through your mouth, because what you speak is still inferior to the translated sentence that forms in your mind. So altogether, you completely mess up with English. That is not the correct approach. Subconscious feel. What is subconscious feel? Now, this is a little technical. Don't worry, even if you don't understand it. About 100 billion neurons make up the human brain. The neurons or nerve cells transmit signals through synapses. A synapse may be regarded as the connection between two nerve cells. The wave of signals moves to thousands of neurons, leading to the making of thoughts, which are essentially electrochemical reactions. So we don't think in any language. The learners should not take the idea of thinking in English literally. If thinking in English means a subconscious feel for the language that generates spontaneity in communication, I'm willing to accept the phrase. No other connotation is acceptable. Two things you have to understand here. What are thoughts? Thoughts are not words and sentences in a language. Thoughts are abstract images, right? Or you could say more technically, they are electrochemical reactions. Thoughts are electrochemical reactions, right? Now, these electrochemical reactions are not bound by any language. So you are not thinking in Hindi. You are not thinking in Bangla. You are not thinking in Tamil. You are not thinking in Punjabi. You are not thinking in Marathi. You're not thinking in Malayalam. You are not thinking in Kashmiri. You are thinking in electrochemical reactions, images, abstract images. So you don't think in a language. It is faulty. It is bad to say that you begin to think in English. You cannot think in English. But if thinking in English means, the second thing that I want to point out is, if by saying that you have to think in English, you are suggesting that you will be developing a subconscious feel, a natural feel for the language, then I am willing to accept your idea. A subconscious feel for the language is important. If that's what you call thinking in English is, I'll accept that idea. But if you say thinking in English per se, no, there's nothing such as thinking in a language. Feeling a language, feel for a language at a subconscious level, when you are not really having to do some conscious thinking about how to speak, when your subconscious takes care of the speech. If that is what you call thinking in English, well, that's acceptable. You don't think in English, all you need to do is I'm making things simple now. You don't think in English. You need to have a subconscious feel for the language. Okay, moving on. Making English second nature to you. What does this mean? Let me read out the two chunks one by one. So if you wish to be fluent in English, you must develop a deep sense of the tongue. In other words, you must create an English mindset. An English mindset is an internalized feel for the language that can be achieved only by complete immersion in it. With an English mindset, you will automatically start communicating like a native speaker or like a highly proficient non-native speaker. Subconscious feel is needed. Internalized feel for the language is needed. You need to have a deep sense for the language. How can you achieve that? You can achieve that with coterie talk. You can achieve that with spontaneous speech. You can achieve that with shadowing. And you can also complement your efforts by watching English movies, by listening to English songs, listening to more of English, exposing yourself to more English. How do you do that? Well, keep yourself in good company, right? People who like to speak in English, who love speaking in English. Listen, watch a lot of English TV, right? That is how you pick up English. You will no longer have to translate your thoughts from your first language to English. Instead, you will think of the words and phrases you wish to use spontaneously. The syntactic structure of your sentences will also fall in place effortlessly, as you won't be thinking of complying with grammar rules while speaking. In short, when you have an English mindset, using the language will become second nature to you. Just the way you don't have to think how you have to eat food. Somebody gives you a samosa and you just eat that samosa. You do not think, hey, the samosa has to be placed at my mouth at an angle of 41 degree and 6 minutes. And then I bite into the maida. And when that maida slowly dissolves in my mouth, that potato preparation will also touch my tongue. And then I begin to relish the potato. Yes, if a pea comes my way, those peas, which are often placed as a part of the samosa material, those will also be coming to my teeth, probably at an angle of 101 degree and 27 minutes. So I will chew the first pea with my canine and leave the rest of the peas to be chewed by the frontal teeth, by the ones that I used to bite. Now, come on, for goodness sake. Do you think that way? You have to eat a samosa, you eat that samosa. You do not have to think of all this stuff. That is how easy English should be to you. When you have to speak English, speak in English. You don't have to think of speaking in English. You don't have to really do all that harakiri inside your mind to speak in English. No, you need a subconscious feel. Once you develop an English mindset, which is possible by way of practicing the 3 methods that I've taught you, and by expanding your English atmosphere, by keeping more friends who speak in English with you, by talking to more people in English, beyond your coterie also you can speak in English, watching more English movies, watching more or listening to more English songs, watching English soap operas, whatever you want to do. Increase, enhance, expand your exposure to English, and the English mindset will follow. If you do these 3 exercises for 6 months on the trot, I promise you, you will have more than an English mindset. Your English will be terrific, but you have to persevere, my friend. Do not give up in between. If you give up, well, you will not be able to forgive yourself. Giving up on something is very easy. To stick on like a leech, to persevere is difficult. You have to persevere, my friend. Moving on. Rome was not built in a day. Developing an English mindset will take time. It cannot happen overnight. You must be patient and consistent in your efforts. I cannot take an injection, a syringe, put the spoken English lotion into it, or the solution into it, and then stick that needle, pierce that needle into your body and inject that English solution into your veins, into your system. Right? If I could do that, I would do that. But I cannot do that. English doesn't come that way. You learn English the hard way. And you have to learn the hard way because there is no easy way. You have to practice. Anyone tells you, hey, come to me, I will teach you English in 30 days with my magic potion, with my magical technique. Sorry, sorry, dear. Such potions don't exist. Such syringes don't exist. And most importantly, such English learning solutions don't exist which can be injected into your body. You have to practice and learn English, right? You have to earn it. Earn it. Don't give up. Persevere. Remember, Rome was not built in a day. With that said, I would also like to tell you from my experience as an English teacher that two things could help speed up acquiring an English mindset. These two things are not magic tricks. Even after implementing them, you will still have to put in hours of practice. But they will keep you motivated. And motivation does speed up the learning process. I will come to these things shortly. Before that, let's talk about some impediments you may face on your way to developing an English mindset. Sadly, these impediments are often raised by the people closest to us. I'll tell you what are the two things which you can take help of to speed up the acquiring of an English mindset, how to get an English mindset. We'll talk about those two things a little later. Right now, let's understand what stops you from becoming fluent. You remember I spoke about your loved ones, the loved ones who are worthy of your love, but they often come up with negative suggestions. Don't listen to those negative suggestions. Persevere, 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 persevere. Work hard. Many family and friends included discourage you from following a strict English learning regimen. They may tell you that it is impossible to learn the language or that it is not worth the effort. They may even say that you are too old to learn or that you don't have the ability and that you should stick to your first language. What kind of things they could say? They could say things like, hey, Ramesh, you're too old, man. You're touching 60. You'll learn English now. Of what use will it be to you? Or, look, girl, look, Anita, you have been a moron out and out. And don't think at this age you will be able to pick up English. Or somebody might say, hey, you are having to put in too much effort to learn English. Why put in so much effort to learn English? Put that effort into earning money. That will be more useful. Why are you learning English? So all kind of dirty suggestions will be made to you. You like it or you don't like it. Very often such suggestions come from our loved ones. Don't listen to them. Work hard. It's your cherished dream to be speaking English like a demigod or a demigoddess. And you will speak English like a demigod or a demigoddess. You will be a demigod of English or a demigoddess of English if you practice and not give up. Don't give up. Don't listen to them, these loved ones, right? They are wrong. Your family and friends are probably well-intentioned, but their advice could hinder your progress. Remember this, right? Do not listen to them. Moving on. Do not relent. If you have decided to develop an English mindset, you must be prepared to face such discouragement and deal with it in a positive way. Do not listen to them. And if you are prepared, if you are strong enough to brave through all that discouragement which will come your way, unfortunately from the loved ones, then you will be right on the track. Okay? Just give me a second, please. Just give me a second. Okay, fine. All right. Of course, there will be times when you will feel like giving up. You may find, of course, there will be times when you will feel like giving up. You may find the going tough and wonder why to put yourself through all this trouble. These are natural reactions, but you must not give in to them. Sometimes you may feel, hey, why should I put in so much of hard work? What will be the outcome of all this? Dear friend, do not do that. Do not do that. Please stay put. Please practice. Never relent. Never relent. Remember. Right. So there will be times when you feel like giving up. Do not give up. You have to persevere, my friend. Perseverance is the key to success. Stick on like a leech. Be firmly resolved that you have to learn English and speak like a pro. Speak like a pro. All right. Again, some issues with my... okay. Persevere. Do these two things. Now, let's talk about those two things which I said that can help you develop the English mindset. What are the two things? Remember, if you persevere, you will eventually succeed in acquiring an English mindset. And once you have done that, using the language will become easier than you ever thought possible. Right? Perseverance is very important. And what are those two things that I was talking about? Let's find out. Now I will discuss the two things that could speed up the acquisition of an English mindset. First, begin to love English. And second, vividly imagine yourself speaking brilliant English. These two things are very important. Develop a love for English. Be willing to listen to good English. Be willing to reading English books. Pick up English books. Read them. As many of them as you can. If you can't understand complicated literature, pick up children's books and read them. Read English books. Pick up English books and read them. Why? You need to love the language. Develop intense love for it. Be passionate about English. That is number one. And number two is sometimes just imagine that you are speaking great English. For example, sit and, for example, Seema or Isha or Lekha or Nitesh or Sanjay can just take time out to think, hey, look, I am sitting in the middle of a meeting and I'm speaking great English. People are listening to me. Or you imagine yourself standing on a stage, speaking on the microphone and speaking superb English, musical English, great English. Those images will motivate you. Those images will motivate you. So what are the two things you have to do? Number one, develop love for English. Number two, imagine yourself to be speaking terrific English, right? Okay, moving on. Why should you love English? Let's discuss the two things one by one. Why should you love English? Because the love for the language will help you learn it better and faster. After all, when you love something or someone, you want to spend more time with that person or thing, don't you? You would like to gain more feel for the language and spend more time reading and writing English. As a result, you shall get better at the language. When you love someone, you think about that someone all the time. For example, all of you are so close to me. I see all of you as my family. So I have affection for each one of you. So I feel like doing things for you. I feel like doing good to you. I have the best of wishes for you. I have immense amount of love and respect for you, tremendous amount of admiration for you, and my heart is full of best wishes for each one of you. As your teacher, it's a very close bond. The teacher and the student actually share a bond similar to the bond between a child and a parent. So in many ways, in that context, right now I'm like a parent and you are a child, regardless of what your age is. So by delivering things to you, I am happy. Why am I happy? Because I sincerely love you. Because I love you, I care for you. I want to do things for you. Same applies to English. Same applies to anyone you love. If you love English, You will feel like doing more things in English. English will begin to flow in your system because you have developed that passion for English. You have developed that love for English. That is what you need to do. That is what you need to do. Develop love for English, right? So how can you develop love for English? By reading books, by listening to more English, maybe television shows, maybe English movies, speaking more in English, and of course, practicing spontaneous, shadowing, and coterie talk. And maybe speaking in English beyond the coterie as well, talking to as many people as possible in English. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, my friend. That's why you are here, right? Okay. Now, how to fall in love with English? How can you fall in love with English? I don't have a single answer to this question, as everyone is different. Some people may fall in love with English because of the way it sounds. Others may enjoy reading and writing English, while some may appreciate the culture and history behind the language. You can just love English for these reasons and for no reason at all. You may just like the rhythm of English. You may just love the language. Love the language and you see it will come to you naturally, right? Love the language just the way you love your parents, just the way you love your siblings, just the way you love your children, just the way you love your friends, just the way you love yourself, right? Please love English. Okay. Live English. Loving English is good, but living English is also important. Regardless of the reason, you must find a way to fall in love with English, to start learning and using the language more effectively. One way to fall in love with English is to find a way to use the language in your everyday life. If you live in an English-speaking nation, this may be as simple as talking to your friends and colleagues. Even if you don't live in an English-speaking country, there are still many ways to use the language on a daily basis. For example, you can read books or articles in English, listen to English language podcasts or music, or even practice speaking with a native English speaker online or a proficient non-native speaker. Now, you have to use the language more to live English. And by doing that, you will also fall in love with English. If you had been living in a native English-speaking country, then it would be very easy because there would be people around you with whom you would only be talking in English. But since you are, and I assume you are not in a native English-speaking country, you have to force that English environment around yourself. You have to create that English environment around yourself. By these three methods that I've taught you, by learning essential grammar, by doing regular coterie talk, which is very important, and of course, by going beyond the coterie and talking to as many people as possible in English. And of course, read books. By the way, let me suggest to you my podcast, Obscurus. Listen to my podcast, Obscurus. There's a treasure of English there. You will find Kate Martin doing the native English intro and outro, and your very own Biswajit Banerjee telling you a lovely paranormal tale. How about that? So listen to my podcast as well. Even that will help you fall in love with the language. Moving on. How I fell in love with English. This is my story. You could also fall in love with English by learning about its history and culture. When you understand where the language came from and how it has evolved, you can appreciate it in a whole new way. Additionally, by learning about the culture behind the language, you can also better understand why certain words and phrases are used in certain situations. This is still continuing with what we were doing in the previous slide. How can you fall in love with English? Study about the Englishmen, the English women, the English history, the English science, the English culture. And probably that will also help you fall in love with English. But the best way is to begin to use English. The more you use English, the more affection you develop for the language. Now, let me tell you how I fell in love with the language. My beloved father encouraged me to read English classics. Oh, what a man. I won't say was, I'll say is. My father is still with me. He is in my body, he is in my heart, he's in my soul, he's in my mind, he's everywhere. Right? I am my father. That's how I see him. What a great man my father has been. So he encouraged me to read English classics at a rather tender age. So I read the works of great English writers and watched classic movies. My father used to take me to watch classics like The Guns of Navarone. Of course, those were movies which were made long before I was born, but they are considered to be classics. And my father, whenever he got a chance, and these classics used to come back to the theaters, because those were the times when I was young, when I was a little boy. We never got to see the latest Hollywood movies. We would have to see the classics that were shown in the theaters in the Americas and other parts of the world, which had access to Hollywood movies at the time of release. So we never got to see movies at the time of release when I was a little boy. So my father used to take me and my brother as well to watch some classic movies. He always encouraged us to develop love for the languages. He encouraged me to learn Bengali well. He encouraged me to learn Hindi well. He encouraged me to learn English well. He would always say, do justice to the language. Respect and love the language that you're speaking. When you're speaking in Hindi, try and speak great Hindi. When you are speaking in Bengali, try and speak great Bengali. When you are speaking in English, try and speak great English. So I owe much of what I am today to my father. Okay, so by reading the works of Charles Dickens, Jane Austen, H.G. Wells, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and Agatha Christie, I improved my understanding of the language and gained a greater appreciation for its beauty. My father encouraged me to read all these books, and I loved these books. And by watching movies made by brilliant directors like Alfred Hitchcock, Orson Welles, and Stanley Kubrick, I gained a better understanding of the power of spoken English. So my father would often tell me that surround yourself with virtual Englishmen and Englishwomen when you have to learn English. Surround yourself with virtual great Hindi speakers and great Hindi communicators when you have to learn Hindi. Surround yourself with great Bengali speakers and communicators when you have to learn Bengali. So that is how I picked up Hindi. That is how I picked up Bengali. That is how I picked up English. Okay, so my love for the English language and literature only grew stronger with time. My father showed the way, and then I fell in love with the language. This love has helped me become an English novelist, a screenwriter, creative nonfiction writer, short story writer, actor, voiceover artist, podcaster, life coach, and of course, a teacher of English communication. By the way, do you see your teacher? How many things I am? English novelist, screenwriter, creative nonfiction writer, short story writer, actor, voiceover artist, podcaster, life coach, and a teacher of English communication. Well, how many people are there in the world who are as accomplished as I am? I'm just saying all this in a jest. Don't take them seriously, okay? All right, moving on. How will you fall in love with English? So how about you? How will you fall in love with English? Well, it will depend on your interests and personality. No matter how you choose to fall in love with English, the important thing is that you find a way to do it. Once you have found your reason for loving the language, learning English will become easier and more enjoyable. As your teacher, since you don't have the advantage of my father's guidance, that great man, S.B. Banerjee, one of the greatest souls I have ever interacted with in my life. S.B. Banerjee, one of the greatest souls that I have ever interacted with in my life. Even my team members, the team members who are presenting these videos to you, these live sessions to you, even they have been fortunate to interact with my father, right? two of my brilliant colleagues, Sunita and Padmini, and many others, Rajesh, and there are others, have had the great fortune of interacting with that great man. And I'm not saying this because he was my father or he's my father. I'm saying this because he really had a profound influence on me. He made me pick up languages, not just English, even Bangla and Hindi. So, since you don't have the advantage of my father's guidance, let my father's son's guidance help you. I am telling you, practice spontaneous, practice shadowing, practice coterie talk. Begin to read English books. If you are not comfortable with those thick books which carry complicated language, begin to read children's classics. Read children's classics. If you find even that language difficult, read even more elementary literature. Watch more English movies. If you are not comfortable with the language of the English movies, put the subtitles on. Read what they are saying. If you are still not comfortable, watch some English primary shows. There are lots of videos available on YouTube which narrate baby stories, children's stories. Listen to those stories. Those you will surely follow. And even by doing that, you will improve your English, right? Read, 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 practice, 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 practice. And you'll be a master. You'll love English, and you will walk English, you will laugh English, you will eat English, you will sleep English, you will comb English, you will go English, you will come English, right? That's the kind of English. That's the kind of English you have to get into. Okay. Moving on. Imagine the next method. The second thing I asked you to do is imagine yourself speaking great English. Close your eyes if you want to for more vivid images. Close your eyes, my dear friends. All of you, close your eyes. Close your eyes for a minute. Just imagine that you are giving a presentation to your boss in English and nailing it. You are speaking brilliant English. Your boss is listening and the other colleagues are listening. And they are spellbound by your brilliant presentation. They're awestruck by the power of your words. Imagine going, now this is being a little naughty, but I'm still saying it. Imagine going on a date with someone whose native language is English and having a great conversation, right? Well, you make friends with a beautiful native English girl or a native English boy, and you are impressing her or him with your tremendous skills in English. Or imagine yourself living in an English-speaking country and speaking the language fluently. Imagine speaking in English before a congregation of Englishmen and Englishwomen. And you're speaking such brilliant English. They're thinking, oh my goodness, what brilliant English this girl speaks. What brilliant English this boy speaks. We are not even 1/100th of the kind of English she speaks. We can't speak English even closer to the kind of English, the English that she speaks or he speaks. Why? Because you'll be far ahead of the native English speakers. You will be speaking in English with that kind of command. Can you do it? Of course you can do it. You need to practice, my dear friends. Persevere. All right. So, even better, you're speaking even better. Imagine speaking better than the native speakers. The listeners are mesmerized by your clear, confident speech. You're speaking, and they're just mesmerized. They are enchanted. They are completely overwhelmed. They are completely awestruck by the kind of English you are speaking. Just imagine, and you will feel like achieving that kind of ability in English. So these are simply some examples to fuel your imagination. Keep imagining different scenarios in which you are using English brilliantly. You can make up your own scenarios as well. right? You can imagine giving a television interview and speaking glorious English. There are native English speakers sitting around you, but they're unable to match your English prowess. Imagine. Okay, if one can dream it, one can achieve it. Why am I asking you to do so? Why am I asking you to imagine that you're speaking great English? You're speaking in great English. A saying goes, if one can dream it, one can achieve it. यदि आप सपने देख सकते हैं तो सपनों को पूरा कर सकते हैं. Well, my dear friends, those of you who don't understand Hindi, excuse me, I just used Hindi to put across the points to my live participants. If you can dream it, you can achieve it. If you can imagine yourself speaking English fluently, you are more likely to make it a reality. You will feel like making it a reality. Your subconscious machinery will get into operation. It'll start working to make this dream come true. So start dreaming and imagining yourself speaking brilliant English today. It may appear to be a fruitless endeavor, but it might be one of the keys to finally becoming fluent in English. Two things. Love English and imagine speaking great English. If you love English, you will feel like using more of it, and in the process of using more of it, you'll be proficient in English. Number two, imagine speaking great English, because that will motivate you. Your subconscious arrangement will get into operation. It'll make you speak such great English. Okay? So, what is the takeaway? You can do it. What is the takeaway? You can do it, and you will do it. Believe in yourself and keep loving and dreaming. Keep loving English and keep dreaming of speaking English in a congregation of great experts and doing it very well and speaking very well. Can you do it? Of course you can, my dear friends. That brings me to the end of the presentation. Okay, without further ado, since we have limited time, without further ado, Lekha, you are the first one to go today for the spontaneous. Be ready. Be ready, dear Lekha. 2 spontaneous speeches, thereafter we are done.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Lekha, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Give me an easy topic, please.
I don't know what you're talking about. Easy topic. I don't know. Easy topic. What does easy topic mean? Okay. Lekha, please do not stop. Speak for 6 minutes, right? And do not tell me that, oh, well, I think my time is over. No. You have to speak for 6 minutes. Your topic is, what am I doing right now? I am sipping tea. Your topic is sipping tea. Sipping tea. Your time starts now.
Hello, everyone. This is Lekha Sani, and my topic is sipping tea. So, I feel like it's quite an interesting topic, and as you are sipping tea, but I would say that one should not uh, take tea because it is injurious to our health. And I have been following Sattvic movement and yogic practices that, so they forward us to take tea and coffee because it is not good for our health. But I know you are taking it to get energized, but it gives us energy for a little time, but it makes our body fill our body with toxins, and they are injurious to our health. You can skip it and take more energy drinks like uh, coconut water and many things, but you will take tea. But as you are, I see you are drinking tea with cheese without milk. So without milk, tea is quite a good idea. But with milk, tea with the milk in that, that is very harmful for us. I have taken tea for such a long time, because in villages we are just used to it. We get up with a cup of coffee, and in the evening we have a cup of tea. And when we think like we are tired, so we drink a cup of tea. And whenever we feel like I have a headache, and uh, when we go to someone's home, there is first thing we do is to make tea and to offer tea and biscuits, because that is it is things like tea is the basic thing we when we go to someone's house. So we should make tea, because when we make tea, it feels like we are respecting them, and uh, we say like चाय का नाम नहीं लिया, that type of thing. And making tea is quite an interesting topic, and very easy. I know how to make tea. It's very, very, very easy. And I have seen in Instagram reels, nowadays people make tea in many different ways. They just put rose leaf in the tea. I don't know how will that taste, but I think that will be like not so good, because how can one drink rose leaves? But one day I will drink that too. Uh, I know it is injurious to your health, but many times I take tea in the office because it's a craving to have tea. Mm. And whenever I feel like boring and I should spend some time, then I go to just canteen and take a tea and spend time with my friends. So it's like refreshing, but I try to avoid it, because it is not good for our health. as the tea generally we drink in the canteen contains sugar, and sugar is injurious to our health. And tea are of many kind, like there are Kashmiri tea and Assam's tea. They are, I think, the pure state of tea. The tea we take in our kitchen, like we bring them from the shops, like Taj Mahal tea and all that. That is, I think that is mixture of many things, like they are treated in the chemical factories, and they are made with doing so many reactions, and they are bleaching to make them colored and smell like tea. So they are treated in this way. So we should not take that packaged tea. We should try to drink the tea which is in the pure state, like tea leaves, which we call tea leaves. They are short and dried um, tea trees. Um, leaves, they are a pure state of tea. And the healthiest way to make tea is to just put um, some tea in the boiled water, and to boil it, and then drink it. We should not add milk in the tea. Milk and sugar, we should avoid milk and sugar in the tea, but we can add mint and ginger to make better taste, and they are good for our health. We can also add basil to the tea, because basil is also good to our health. And basil tree is very good for our in our house, because it is said that basil tree gives us oxygen for 24 hours.
That
I
should
have
do, my
googled it.
dear. That should do, dear Lekha. You have done very well. Give her a huge round of applause, please. What a performance. Wonderful. You're so good. 1 second. You are Terrific, Lekha. You are terrific. Absolutely loved your performance. Give her a
Thank you,
proper,
sir.
give her a proper clap. Such stingy clapping will not do. All of you. Give her a huge round of applause. Properly. Pallavi writes, very nice, Lekha. Manisha writes, you didn't even stop for a second. That's amazing. Okay. So fantastic performance, right? And
Thank you,
and
sir. Can you
and
think this is the same Lekha which you met in ISTM, and I was not even able to speak for a minute, and I was just
Lekha, you have
staying calm.
improved. You have improved in over say eight. I mean, over the last 8 or 9 sessions, and with the
Yes,
practice
sir.
that you have done, you're already a. I mean, I shouldn't be saying this, but you're very close to being a pro, my dear. Seema writes, you have done wonderful efforts, dear Lekha. And I completely agree with your friend Seema. You have really done a great job, right?
Thank you,
And
everyone.
my team writes, okay, Sanjay writes, great performance. And my team says, great performance, dear Lekha. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
o-
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Pallavi has write very nice, Lekha. Well, I've already read this for you. Great. Very well done. Very well done. See, already the magic has been cast on you. You are doing so well, my dear. I'm so happy with you. Terrific, Lekha. I'm so
Yes.
proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Yes, sir. I will not hurt your feeling, and I will be true to your always.
Yes, my dear. Yes, my dear. You're actually doing what you have said. You committed to do it and you're doing it very well. I'm so happy,
Yes,
so
sir.
proud of you. Thank you, Lekha.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now, those of you who think that they have already spoken and they'll not be called back to speak, well, you're mistaken, right? In a sense, it's good for you if there are fewer participants because you'll get more practice, more live practice. The next participant today is going to be Pranjal. Pranjal, are you ready? Pranjal, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, Pranjal. Can you make an appearance on the camera? Will that be too difficult because of the network?
Uh, Probably, sir, I would refrain from that.
All right, you'll refrain from that. Fine. Okay. All right, Pranjal. So we'll keep the gallery view so that everybody is visible. Your topic, Pranjal, and I'll start the time immediately after I give you the topic. Yes. Your topic is forest cover. Forest cover. Start.
Forest cover is something that we should all be focused upon. Forest cover in India is declining, and the government has taken several steps to increase it, but still it is not at par with the international standards. And one of the things that we should focus upon is like how we calculate the forest cover. For example, in India, it is calculated by the amount of land or the uh, area of land that is designated as the forest land. But it is not so practically. Practically, a forest land should be only the land which is designated for a forest. But what we do is we take away the forest land and we substitute it by either doing afforestation drives or by planting some trees in the urban areas or in the or doing or even in some cases we replace, like we in the name of forest land we replace it with a monetary compensation, which is not good. So forest land is something that we should be concerned about, and we should, conserve it. And forests give us everything. For example, the forests give us trees, the beautiful oxygen that we that we inhale every day, and we sustain our lives with that. So forest land is to be protected in that sense, that so that we have oxygen. I remember one news column from a few days back where Amazon rainforest is being degraded for wood. Logging activities have been growing in the Amazon rainforest, and they are taking up, they are they are clearing the forest for logging activities, and which is not good for the earth in general, not only for India, not only for the world as a in an economic sense, but in an environmental sense, it is very difficult for us to sustain livelihood or sustain
Unfortunately, Pranjal got disconnected, but he, till the point the disturbances started happening, he was actually making a very good speech, right? So Seema writes you're not audible, Pranjal. Actually, Pranjal has got disconnected, Seema. That is why he is not audible. Anyhow, we will stop the session for today and probably give Pranjal a chance to speak again tomorrow. So with that said, I hope that you keep practicing what I give you. Every morning you will find that message. Today I didn't give that message because there is a huge backlog. That is why I thought that I should not overburden you and probably allow you time to finish off speaking on all the topics. But that didn't happen somehow. But tomorrow, from tomorrow onwards, you'll again you'll be getting the messages for all the 3 exercises. Please keep in mind, you have to shadow 2 files. Every day you have to shadow 2 files. You can shadow 1 file twice, but better still if you shadow 1 file once and do 2 such files. That will be good for you. Other than that, you have to do coterie talk. Don't tell me that you're not finding time for coterie talk, or that all the members of the coterie are not willing to talk at the same time because all don't get free at the same time. Let it be 3 a.m. at night. I don't care. Let it be 3 a.m. at night. Let it be the peak of winter. Or maybe you are having to brave the heat in an arid terrain. I do not care. You have to do the coterie talk. And another humble request to all of you, please do not give up in between. Do not give up in between, right? Because when you give up in between, please understand the problems that are going to happen. First of all, you have made a commitment to me and you have made a commitment to yourself, right? More important is the commitment that you have made to yourself. If you stop doing what you started doing, then in your subconscious mind, you will never be able to forgive yourself because you are running away from the drill. You are being an escapist. Do not be an escapist. Practice, 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 practice. See where you get. Give these 6 months to spoken English for non-native speakers and see where you get. This is going to be the best investment you have made in life. Repeat. This is going to be the best investment in time you have made in life. Okay. Pranjal says, hello, sir. Well, Pranjal, I'll give you,
sir.
no problem. No problem. There are hiccups happening with your internet. So I'll give you the opportunity to do the spontaneous talk in the beginning of the class tomorrow. Right?
Okay, sir. Thank you
No
very
problem.
much.
I'll give you a different topic. So I understand that you have internet issues right now.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
No problem. No problem. So the thing is, Do not run away, because that spoils the videos, number one, because it gives the videos a bad look when you run away. Number two, when you run away, you are also depriving the Coterie Talk members of their right to converse with you. With one member less, the effect will not be as good. So by running away, you are cheating me, you are cheating your co-learners, and most importantly, you are cheating yourself. Please don't be a cheat. Attend the sessions regularly. Do the practice exercises regularly. Do not tell me that you don't get time for it. Right? If I tell you my schedule, you will know that you can do everything. You can. Right? You can, and you can do everything well. So for goodness sake, don't give me this stupid excuse that you don't have time for doing it. I have to do a lot of household work. I have to do cooking. I have to clean the room. So what? So what? I have to go to the office. I have to work like a bull over there. So what? Still find time for yourself. If you have the love for the language, and if you're passionate about becoming a great orator, so that you can just walk into Harvard or probably Oxford or Cambridge and deliver a lecture, a powerful lecture to a gathering of 1,000 native English speakers. Powerful lecture, full of confidence, full of substance. Right? If you want to achieve that kind of command over English, you have to live up to the commitment that you have made to me, to your co-learners, and most importantly, to yourself. You can cheat your teacher for once. You can cheat your co-learners. Sorry, if you cheat yourself, you'll never be able to forgive yourself. I did not force you to join this course. I asked you repeatedly, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to do it? Willing to do it? Willing to do it? Willing to do it? And you said, yes, 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 and yes. Now do not go back on your promise. Stay put till the very end of this course, and this is in your interest. This is going to be in your interest. I'm not saying all this because I stand to get benefited. Yes, I'll get the benefit of this pleasure that my students are speaking such great English. I will derive pleasure from the fact, I'll derive enjoyment from the fact that you all wonderful people, whom I'll reckon as my emanations, like my own children, okay, they are speaking great English. That'll be my comfort, my ease, my takeaway. That'll be my pleasure, my enjoyment. But who stands to gain most? You stand to gain most, because you will be speaking like a supreme pro. Don't you want that to happen? Sure, you want that to happen. Also tell your friends who are missing out on sessions to attend sessions regularly. Okay. By missing out on sessions, they are really cutting down on their prospects of becoming great English speakers. I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to tell you. Stay put, stick on, persevere, 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 and persevere, right? So please keep in mind that perseverance is key. Perseverance is the single most mantra to success in any field. Perseverance is what counts in the end. Perseverance is a quality of the greatest of personalities. Perseverance will see you through. Perseverance will do all good to you. And perseverance will make you one of the greatest orators. Well, I'll say it. Will make you one of the greatest orators to have ever walked the earth. Be that orator. Thank you so much, all of you. Tomorrow, there will be no session, by the way. The next session will be on Monday. Now, you might ask me, why is there no session tomorrow? Because I had announced earlier that there would be a session on Saturday. Well, for the simple reason that your teacher needs to take some rest, because he has been kind of running from the pillar to the post over the last 15 days or so. Been running and running and running and running and running, not sleeping at all. And sleeping very little, not sleeping at all. Well, that's not true. Sleeping, but sleeping little. So I need some rest, and I also need to plan the multimedia presentations. Okay, Seema very sweetly writes, you must have rest, sir. Please do. Thank you, Seema, for your sweet concern. So I also have to have discussions with my team members tomorrow. There are some important meetings as to how to make this training program even more absorbing. All of you are loving it, as is evident from the comments and from the kind words that you are exchanging with me. But we'll try to make it even more interesting for you, right? Let this be a happy ride for each one of you. Take care and good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night,
Good
sir.
night, sir. Take
Good
care.
night.
Good
Good
night,
night.
sir. Good night.
Take care. Take care. Take care.
Good night.
Right. Good
Thank you,
night.
sir.
Thank you and good night.